There's a lot of anecdotal advice around on improving your marriage. But if you want something you can really use that will actually make a difference and reignite your marriage, check out the link in the description below.
The question, what are some things you do on a daily basis to keep your marriage strong? Answer by Chris Strickley. My wife and I love to cook together. When we're finally done with work, picking our oldest up from school, making both children their dinner, tucking them in, we almost always find ourselves in the kitchen together making food. We're both foodies. Some of our most enjoyable and dare I say thrilling moments have come when we discover a new recipe or restaurant with good food. It's been this way since the inception of our relationship. The very first night we ever spent hanging out together involved us eating New York-style pizza at one of our city's famous pizza joints at 2:00 a.m. I remember one night in the dawning of our marriage, we were in the kitchen making dinner together. We were having fun, laughing, talking, flirting. Marriage stuff. When it came time to dish up our food, we got out 2 plates, 2 sets of silverware and some glasses for our drinks. I began to dish up her plate without even consciously giving any thought to it. My dad was a chef when I was growing up. The aesthetic of the plate after dishing it up was something I took seriously. So I wanted to make sure I implemented this skill I learned in making everything look great for my wife. When I had finished plating her food, I turned to give it to her. Much to my surprise and joy, she had done the same thing. She had dished up my plate of food. We both laughed. We dished each other's food up. We might as well have just gotten our own plate of food. But we both wanted to do something for the other. That's where my answer becomes relevant to the question. My wife and I have always put each other first before ourselves, to the best of our imperfect human ability. Yeah, we're not perfect. Yeah, we have our moments where we are selfish. But we always come back to the idea that if we aren't being intentional in putting the other first, our marriage will suffer. The divorce rate, at least in the United States, is sitting roughly around 50%. That is awful. Now I'm no expert. The most I have to offer is life experience and almost a BA in psychology. But trying to keep this real simple and offer something meaningful, I'd like to offer my thoughts on this. If you pay even just a little attention to society at large, you'll hear an overarching theme. What is the most important thing you need to consider in life according to society? Yourself. This ideology seems to have crept its way into marriages. I mean, we've all heard a plethora of reasons why couples get divorced. I don't feel the need to list out the many examples there are. But I will say that all too often it seems that they have one toxic root: selfishness. So many marriages go wrong because they have a mindset that will set them up for failure. What's in it for me? A lot of people will say that a marriage is 50-50. You have to meet each other halfway with everything. You give 50% effort and he'll give the other 50%. Well, allow me to offer up something extreme. You need to have the willingness to go 1000. Operating with this mindset prevents you from ever putting anything before your spouse. It keeps yourself accountable and it shows to your spouse that you care wholeheartedly about your marriage. Now I understand the obvious counterpoint. What if the other person doesn't do the same? That person giving all the effort is going to wind up disappointed and harbor resentment toward their spouse for not reciprocating. That's the trick and a big reason why divorce is wreaking havoc. Both people need to be all in, for better or worse. In sickness and in health. Willingly stepping into a marriage bond automatically assumes the mindset that you are no longer living for yourself, you are living for your spouse too. All selfishness needs to be sent out to space like an Elon Musk car. Never to be seen again. It's conquering the little things that can slowly eat away at the fortress guarding your marriage. Choosing not to flirt with a member of the opposite sex, or same sex depending on your attraction. Even if it is just a meaningless flirt. Choosing to make spending time together a priority. Choosing to listen when they are upset, even if you feel you did nothing wrong. Choosing to forgive when they make a mistake. Choosing to make an effort in really understanding who your spouse is, what they value, what upsets them, what brings them genuine joy. All the core parts in how they were knit together. Choosing to work through disagreements, both big and small, and come to a compromise. Choosing to be intentional in making your marriage better than it was the day before. It must be noted that I'm not perfect. Eva failed at a lot of the things I described above. Eva made foolish mistakes that have hurt my wife and our marriage as a whole. Eva put myself before her more times than I care to admit. I do know though that when I have practiced these things, my marriage has only benefited. Marriage is a special and awesome experience to be had. But like most other matters in life, it requires diligence. It requires a commitment. It requires a choice to not live solely for yourself anymore. But when the last word is written in the book that is your life, it's worth every sacrifice. Every minute you spend investing in your spouse. Every low and high moment. Every victory and every failure. I hope this encourages any couple out there, whether you consider your marriage successful or a complete disaster. Be encouraged and know it's worth it. Answer by Alan Blue Hair and Millie Not So Barnett. We believe that we're part of a two-person team to get through life, so some of the things we do on a daily basis are trust, communicate, collaborate, serve, and, of course, love. Trust is foundational to the strength of our marriage. I trust my wife to do what is necessary for our relationship, and she trusts me for the same reason. Over time, this trust grows stronger because of the daily observance of each other's efforts. This also builds loyalty. After all these years and for all the years ahead, why would we ruin something this good with a moment of illicit behavior? Communication is also fundamental to a strong marriage. We talk to each other about everything we feel in our lives. And when we forget to talk about everything we feel, we talk about that. I don't need to share that I bought a Snicker bar as a snack, but I share how I felt about breaking my diet. It's the empathetic response I get when I share my feelings about my life, her life, and our life that keeps our feelings for each other steadily growing and deepening, regrets from festering, anger from building, and suspicions from being created. All this helps build trust and more love. Collaboration is a daily practice. I'm business owner, she's a kindergarten teacher. Neither on face look compatible, but, by collaborating on the development and growth of our relationship, we are able to help each other in our individual fields of endeavor. I'll never jump into a room of 5-year-olds, they scare me, and shall never want to spend time engaged in entrepreneurial efforts. Boring, she says. But, her sharing of how to be more empathetic has helped my business grow, and my sharing of efficiencies and process has helped her classroom management style. And by working together, we've enhanced the quality of our marriage. When you encounter this kind of person in life, you are drawn to them and you want to serve them in return for this caring. This mutual service results in an interdependent relationship. Neither is subservient to the other, nor are they slow in losing their individuality because of the lack of supported growth. When in service to each other, each grows deeper in the virtues that were the initial attractant, and as those virtues deepen, so does the love, loyalty, communication, collaboration, and service. This upward spiral continues through the entire relationship, expands into new arenas of each life, becoming even more reason to stay in the relationship and continue working to strengthen the marriage. There is always more to learn about my wife, more to be interested in, and more new and interesting qualities to explore. This is what we do daily. And because we do, decades later, it's still like the first exciting days of our marriage. Answer by Rick Lelchuk. I talk to my wife about things that are important to us. We have meaningful conversations and share in our personal development and growth. I listen to her input and she listens to mine. It's 100% giving on both sides. Oh, and I tell her I love her regularly, not assuming she knows. Good luck, Rick.